Welcome back to Let's Chunk. You know all the drill. 5 questions, 15 seconds each. Short droplets of pure marketing insights suitable for anyone's LLM strategy. Again, for the record, I'll say this 1,000 times. This is not an actual endorsement for the LLM strategy of chunking. Do what you will. Blowing chunks with me today is a founder of Copy Trail. It's Ashwin Balakrishnan. How are you?
Hey, Mordy. Thanks for having me on, despite the name.
Dude, my full name is Mordechai. Who could say a sound?
I kind of have to, because I have a client who has that in his name, and so I learned it. But no, I was talking more about chunking and blowing chunks.
Oh,
That's just,
chunking
it's a
and blowing
fantastic.
chunks. Oh.
No, your name's fine. Your name's fine.
I just feel I have to have a good time with all this nonsense. First off, pitch, Copy Trail. What do you do? Where can people find you? Why should they hire you?
So I'm a conversion, the Copy Trail is a conversion marketing consultancy for B2B tech. The way that I describe it is if you're paying for distribution and distribution's not paying you back, I'm the person you call. Simple as that.
And where can they find you?
Find me at thecopytrail.com. I have LinkedIn and Twitter, both the Copy Trail. So yeah, any of those.
Sweet. I will link them in the show notes, but there are no show notes. Today, we're getting into, getting behind the economics of marketing. Don't get left behind by the economics of marketing, which you'll see it we're talking about as we get into this. First question, 15 seconds. I don't have an actual stopwatch. I wish I did. So we're going by my brain, which might be 5 seconds. It might be 50 seconds. It's a crapshoot, which is my brain. My brain is a crapshoot. What percentage of marketing teams are prepared to move a customer from one stage to the next stage in the buying journey? Put a number to it.
Zero.
Zero,
because you can't move anybody to another stage. The way I think about it is just you build the infrastructure that people have a system and have ways to move to the next step when they're ready. But to think that we control any of that is just arrogance. So 0%.
Autonomy in the buying journey?
Always has been.
Are you crazy? Give people a choice and let them act as humans?
I mean, that's what we want when we buy, isn't it? So why should it be any different when we sell?
Because those are users, we're people. But I'm being facetious.
Completely.
For the people listening, I'm being facetious. I'm being sarcastic. Okay, fine. I agree. But first off, 1,000,000% agree with you. That was a big thing. That's why educational content is so important, because it gives a person room to breathe and make a decision about you. Anywho, then what's the biggest holdback? Why aren't teams doing that? And why does it seem so hard to give that space?
In my experience, I think genuinely the biggest reason that the brands don't build that stuff is they genuinely don't understand how their customers buy. And they think that they do this and then they go to this next thing and they go to this next thing. And we kind of live in a bubble where we understand that that isn't linear, but a lot of people starting businesses out, just achieving product market fit, they still think that there's this fixed path. And I think when a business actually hits maturity is when they realize that there is no fixed path and that all these different, for lack of a better word, forgive this, touch points, all the touch points need to be in place, but you have to know what those touch points are. If you're building out a huge Reddit presence, but your customers hate Reddit, there's no point doing that. So you've got to know where your customers spend their time, what they're looking for, what experiences they want, but you have to actually understand the steps that they go through to actually end up becoming a customer.
So as someone who doesn't like to blame myself for really anything, I usually say I'm a victim of my environment. If you know me, it's the complete opposite. I take responsibility for way too many things, which is my actual problem, self-deprecating. But if companies were just victims of their environment, what market conditions might be out there right now that are not incentivizing the companies to start thinking this way?
Well, AI is the easiest to blame. And that's because it's...
Okay, next question.
And that's because it's, largely responsible for the state of the market today. So I think it's a fair amount of blame. I think that what I'm seeing personally is a lot of companies, a lot of marketing and growth teams are moving away from their core competency of helping turn content and interest and materials into money. And they're trying to build out these systems that, yes, okay, for whatever reason, the genie's out of the bottle, it's here to stay. But the amount of time that people spend building these systems when they could be spending their time doing something else, more productive, more conducive to the business, I feel like we've just kind of pulled that off track. So yes, it's a little bit macroeconomic influence, but I think a lot of it is also just internally people making decisions that aren't necessarily the right one for the business.
Yeah, we were chatting about this before the show, and there's a great CNBC video I linked to in the show notes. But again, there are no show notes just talking about this. You were talking about from a different angle also. Just the problem that people are saying, oh yeah, you have to use AI. If you're not using 1 million tokens, it was the CEO of the video said this, like, you're this person, I would get rid of them, I'd fire them. But the problem is, like, one is that cost is insane. And the other problem that the CNBC host brought up, which is a great point, is you're now judging people by just blind output. Like, I spent this many tokens, therefore I'm doing not the actual quality of the work. What are we doing? That's crazy.
It's a big reason I decided to stick into consulting instead of looking for a new full-time job. Is I don't want anybody telling me how I should do my job. So you can tell me how to do my job, or you can tell me what my targets and results should be, but I don't want you to tell me what I need to do and then how I need to do it as well. And so I find that consulting gives me that freedom to still be a really good copywriter, still be a really good strategist, still be really good at building that conversion infrastructure without spending, 50% of my time, 70% of my time building some kind of AI workflow that might not be relevant 3 months from now because the model changes.
Yeah, but you use a lot of tokens. Hey, you spend those credits, which is what my wife asked me to do all the time. Spend that credit card. Spend those credits.
Man, if I could spend fewer tokens than I do now, I would in a heartbeat. I only do what I need to.
Can I just tell you, my association to tokens will always be putting tokens into the video games at Spaceplex.
That and Token from South Park.
Ooh, okay. So there's a lot of associations that have to do with actual like AI token. Anyway, okay. Devil's advocate, which is an idiom, but also my name. Devil's advocate. Isn't this all a little bit more complicated than you're presenting it? Like, there are competing goals inside of companies, competing problems, immediate monetary cash flow problems that they need to figure out, whatever it might be. This is a little bit more complicated than you're making it seem.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you want to play devil's advocate, but I don't know that there's a way for us to just cast a magic blanket over the industry and say that this is the problem. Every business is different. And this is something that you've said. This is something that I've said. This is something that any smart marketer said at some point in their life. It depends. That's not in my dictionary anymore. But you have to kind of play the hand that you're dealt. And so if you're working in a business that has cash flow problems, addressing the cash flow problems has to be priority number one. If you're in a business that's really good at attracting audiences, really bad at converting them, then you really need to start converting your audiences. If it's the other way around, then you've got a really good fundamental structure in place, and now you can just work on bringing more people to your site, more people to your conversion touch points. But what ends up happening is I think
That was 15 seconds. Sorry, buddy. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
What ends up happening is we see the next company doing something, and then comparison kicks in. We're like, oh, I should be doing that. And so instead of fixing this problem that is relevant to us, that we're dealing with, that we know is a problem for us, we kind of ignore that or give it a little bit less attention. We go try to match what the next guy's doing. I think that's the root of a lot of issues today.
It really all goes back to Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi. You have many problems and you have many sort of things that you're going to have to balance. So the first thing you have to do is first learn balance.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, and remember, bikes are your worst enemy.
And paint the fence.
Paint the fence.
Paint the fence. Great. So now that we've figured out, okay, if you want to, you have to build touch points, and you have to really build a whole like ecosystem and tackle the whole ecosystem and give your audience space and all these things to really get people, quote unquote, through the user journey. Who has time and the resources for all that? I only have time for AI to write me blog posts.
It's simultaneously easier and more difficult than we make it out to be. It's easier because I think we tend to overcomplicate how much of it we need to do. So we aim for volume rather than quality. And that starts with how many audiences we want to go after, who we want to be to how many different people. So it starts at positioning, and it goes all the way down to how many pieces of content do we create in a week. At the same time, it's also much more difficult because getting that quality, I think a lot of us as an industry, I'm speaking as an industry, I think a lot of us have left that train at the station. We've completely abandoned the things that make something different, unique, memorable. And a lot of that's driven by fear. A lot of it's driven by pressure from leadership, because taking a risk is always, there's a chance of failure, but it's not always, it's not, if the way I put it is, if you take a risk, it's obviously not guaranteed to pay off. But when it does pay off for somebody, it's always somebody who did take a risk.
Yeah. That's 100% true. Also, part of this, I'll say like super quick before I get to the bonus question, is a lot of times, especially on the performance side or that mindset, you feel you have to have every question, everything planned out first before you do the thing. It doesn't always work like that. You have to get started doing the thing. Crystal Carter always say this: just do the thing. Just do the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I prepared for this interview thinking like we were going to talk about something completely different. And then you asked me a bunch of other questions. And I'm like, all right, that's all out the window. Just deal with what's in front of me right now.
Horrible. I'm only here by default. Like no one else wanted to host a show called Let's Chunk. Anyway, I asked the same bonus question to everybody, just kind of compare answers. I thought I would get some hot takes here. I have not. So I might switch this question up. But anyway, on a scale of 1 to 10, Ashwin, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, how important is an LLMS.txt file?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. And
number.
I don't know, 5, 1, either of those.
Okay.
I genuinely don't know.
Somewhere between 1 and 5. At least that's a number.
2.
Okay, you're with Barry. Barry gave it a 2. Barry Schwartz gave it a 2.
Yeah. Barry's way smarter than I am about this stuff, so I feel good about that.
Yeah, Barry is really smart. I think Aleda gave it like a negative.
See, that's the thing. Like, I haven't kept up with that side of marketing, so I don't know.
I'm just here.
I don't know what works for a machine. And here's the thing, like I'm gonna add a little layer on top of that. The reason I give it a 2, or actually let's revise that to a 1, is I understand why people want to optimize for visibility in AI search. I get it. I understand the principle, but not everybody who's looking for information is looking for it in an AI search engine. And ultimately, no LLM is going to spend money on your product. And so if you're optimizing for visibility in certain areas, that's fine. But if you're doing it at the cost of, well, let's do absolutely everything possible so that we can ignore putting out original content, have strong positioning, build the things that are actually going to get people to pay money once they discover us. If you don't build all of that in addition to this, which is what I see frequently happening, then what's the point? And honestly, who cares about a TXT file if you don't have all the other fundamentals in place? Like, really, it's not that big a deal.
TXT files, Ashwin says, who cares? Find him on social media.
Yeah, and tell me why I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
Tell me why I'm a jerk. Give me a lot of LinkedIn engagement.
I should tell you why you're a jerk, or the people?
No, everybody watching.
Everybody should tell you.
Come to my profile, leave a comment, tell me why I'm a jerk. Bump up that algorithm.
Yeah, leave comments. I don't care what you say, just leave comments.
Yeah, not just likes. I need comments. I need LinkedIn to understand that, yeah, this dude is worth showing to a bunch of people. So help me out with that.
People should follow you on LinkedIn.
Yes. Trash me, compliment me, doesn't matter.
All right. Hey, it's a free-for-all over on Ashwin's LinkedIn profile. Go ahead into LinkedIn and look up his name, and then you'll find him, and then you can trash him. Look for another episode of Let's Chunk next Tuesday, each and every Tuesday on the SE Ranking, LinkedIn, and other social channels, and on our YouTube channel, where you can like and subscribe and not miss an episode. So make sure you do that if you enjoy this episode. Until then, goodbye for now, and until we chunk again.
Happy chunking.
Happy chunking.